Hi guys, it's Michelle, and I am bringing you the latest Q post today, Deception Bytes. And I didn't post yesterday, as I'm sure you're already aware. I meant to, but sometimes, what we mean to do and what we can do or do are two different things, and I apologize for that, but I am bringing them to you now. So we're going to cover the 15th and the 16th. I did go out just a second ago and check to make sure I was completely up to date for the drops on the 16th, which is today, and I'm not. There's been 3 more dropped, so I'm going to cover what I have for now, and I'll come back to you later today with the remaining posts because I'm sure that there's probably going to be additional ones besides those 3. So I'm picking up from where I left off in the last video, and we're picking up here, and Q is giving us, he's referring to his own post here from February 6, where he says, public interest, keep high, Uranium 1, FBI informant, A1, Debbie Wasserman Schultz, Paki, Intel, Muslim Brotherhood, Tarmac meeting, Supreme Court, Loretta Lynch deal, Antonin Scalia 187 Q. Now he's referring to this, and he says, he, she, they say, coincidence? Supreme Court Loretta Lynch deal drop. So what he's saying is the deal that was reached on the tarmac, and of course I have the advantage of having read ahead in the post, so I know what's coming, and I can with confidence say that this is what this means. Supreme Court Loretta Lynch deal drop. There was a deal made on the tarmac between Loretta Lynch and Bill Clinton, and possibly Hillary Clinton was on the phone as well. We don't know, but there's some people that believe that. And then he tells us to refer to the POTUS tweet. So POTUS tweeted regarding the tarmac meeting today. And he says tarmac. So we're to look at POTUS tweet about from, that makes reference to the tarmac. And then he said, coming soon to a theater near you. So this leads me to think that this is the video that's going to be dropped. Because otherwise, why would he say coming soon to a theater near you? Obviously, they have a video of this. So, and then of course he signs off by Q. Now, it has been rumored that Bill Clinton offered Loretta Lynch Antonin Scalia's Supreme Court seat. Every time I see SC, I want to say South Carolina. And then I think, okay, that doesn't make sense. Supreme Court seat during the tarmac meeting. However, in the next post, Q will counter that. So, here is the tweet. I went out and captured that for us so that we could refer to this, and President Trump says, Comey throws AG Attorney General Lynch under the bus. Why can't we find out what happened on the tarmac in the back of the plane with Wild Bill and Lynch? Was she promised a Supreme Court seat or Attorney General in order to lay off Hillary? No golf and grandkids talk. Give us all a break. Now, I'm not sure right here what he's referring to in saying no golf and grandkids talk. Give us all a break. Probably somebody knows, and if you want to just put it down in the comments, because I'm curious, and I probably could have found it if I kept digging enough, but I didn't think that it was probably worth the time to dig for that particular piece anyway. So let's go on to the next one. Now, so Q is referring to his own post that we just read here. And this is what he says. Side-by-side graphics are important. To be clear, Loretta Lynch was promised the Supreme Court position of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Coordinated, planned. RBG, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, big problems. So Ruth Bader Ginsburg, of course, is the Associate Justice of the Supreme Court, and she is still there. There's rumors that she doesn't want to sit down because or step down, even though she's more than ready to, because that would give Trump the right to appoint someone into that position. And of course, it would be someone that doesn't share her extreme brand of liberalism. So that makes sense to me. And you know, Q is making sure that we understand. Like, okay, Loretta Lynch was promised a Supreme Court position, but it was of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So, not Antonin Scalia. So, that's interesting. I didn't know that. And I bet you didn't either. Now, let's, this is, Q here is referring to this post, and this is a large post. So let's go up to the top of it, and it's a bunch of pictures. Okay, so he's referring to this post by an anon, and it's just a bunch of memes. Icon has Supreme Court, you know, of course this is Loretta Lynch, and Icon has Supreme Court Justice. Of course, that's a take on the famous website Icon Has Cheeseburgers, which is hysterical if you haven't been out there and if you love cats. And then Lynch says she regrets tarmac meeting with Bill Clinton about promised Supreme Court seat. And SCOTUS. Well, this is wrong, as it turns out, according to Q. This is not who. This is Antonin Scalia, of course. This is Loretta Lynch. It wasn't his seat that she was promised. And then we've got this. But you promised. Now, underneath, this anon says, we thought it was Scalia. Thanks for spelling it out. Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I need to fix my SCOTUS meme. Yes, yes you do. And Q responds to that and says, think timing. Loretta Lynch remains Attorney General, HRC. So this is what he's saying, Hillary Rodham Clinton. Loretta Lynch would still have been Attorney General under Hillary Rodham Clinton. Then, when Hillary Rodham Clinton became president, which was what everyone expected would take place, she would appoint a new, Antonin Scalia replacement, right? Hillary would become president. She would appoint a new replacement for Antonin Scalia. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, that shouldn't be, I got it backwards there. Ruth Bader Ginsburg would step down, and then Loretta Lynch would take her position, and a new Attorney General would be appointed. That was the plan under Hillary Rodham Clinton, according to Q. So, and he lays it out here. Think timing. Loretta Lynch remains Attorney General under Hillary Rodham Clinton. Hillary Rodham Clinton appoints new Antonin Scalia replacement. Ruth Bader Ginsburg steps down. Loretta Lynch steps up. New Attorney General. The plan. Q. That's pretty straightforward to me. I think he lays it out very, very succinctly there. So, let's go on. It has been raining here for 3 days straight, and we've had a horrendous ice storm, and I'm just absolutely, I've got cabin fever like crazy, but I couldn't go out for 2 days because it was just sheer ice everywhere. And this is like supposed to be spring. Anyway, okay, now after this one, Q says, you know, in reference to his thing below where he lays it all out, he says, where are the audits? Q. And he's directing this to the anons, of course, on the board, the 8chan board. And that was in reference to this right here that I had read just previously. Think timing. Loretta Lynch remains Attorney General, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I wish somebody would plug in the sun. Okay. Here's the next one, and it says side-by-side graphic. This is provided by an anon and is referenced to in a later post. Yeah. So we're going to get to that, but I won't show that to you right now. It's coming up. And SSLL deal drop. SS. I think that was a typo. SS Loretta Lynch deal drop, because I think he corrects this, if I'm not mistaken, in a further post. Deal drops with original timestamps. So what Q is saying here, he says, okay, I want somebody, and that's why he's saying, where are the audits? He wants somebody to make a graphic with putting everything side by side, and with timestamps and everything. He wants the Supreme Court Loretta Lynch deal drops with original timestamps and along with the POTUS tweet. And he said it's important going forward, Q. And an anon responds and says, making it now, Q. And Q responds, thank you, Patriot. Proofs being lost, Q. So because proofs are being lost, you know, it does make it easier to have a graphic where everything's laid out and somebody can see it in one glance. It saves people digging all over the place to get the information together for themselves. It just makes it easier for everyone. It's like going to the kitchen and the meal's there. It's all there. It's all in your cupboards and everything else. But if it's all put together in a meal, it's just much easier, isn't it? Sure, you could go and you could get all the ingredients and put them together and cook them and you know, make the meal. But isn't it just nice when the meal's made for you? I wouldn't know. Okay, so this is the next one, and this is where he references the Supreme Court, or the typo. He says typo, Supreme Court equals SC equals Supreme Court, Q. Yeah, we knew that. But it's good to have it clarified because we might be thinking, what is that? So, and this is where an anon is questioning him. SSLL Q, is SS correct or a typo? Please clarify, and he does. So we know we don't have to be trying to figure out what SS is. Now, I'm going to get to this in a minute, and this is what Q is referring to here. He says, perfect example of why we are here. Thank you, Patriot. Thank you all, Q. And here is the finished graphic that the anon did. And let me see if I can make this bigger. So here's the post from February 6th, and it's the one that references the tarmac meeting. Okay, and then on April the 2nd, April 2nd. Sorry. I have to always think, because Canada writes dates backwards to the way the US, and because I'm back and forth between countries, I always have to stop and think about, okay, this is American, this is how I read it. It's very confusing. I don't know why that is, but it just is. So here, April 2nd, he makes reference to the tarmac again, and then Trump on the 15th makes reference to the tarmac here. And, you know, the anon puts future proves past, which it does. And then the anon put a little note down here, done, so that Q would be sure to see it, and he did, and he acknowledged it. Now, 113. Okay, now this is also referencing this that we just looked at, that graphic. And Q says, focus should also be on Supreme Court promise, only dropped here. So that's only been dropped in the boards. Nobody else out there knows. I mean, they do because of the boards, but not, you know what I mean. POTUS validating drops via Twitter per plan / timing. Future proves past. Communications understood, Q. So he's telling that anon that did that, yeah, that's a great job, but we should also focus on the Supreme Court promise because that's only been dropped in this board. on the 8chan board. And the POTUS is validating the drops via Twitter per the plan and per the timing. Future proofs past communications understood? Q. Now, this is an Anon posts this, and this is in direct response to that. And so they do exactly what he's asked. And they put this tweet from President Trump that was the 15th of April, yesterday. Actually, I'm sorry, I thought that was from today, but it's not. My bad. And then we have this for keep interest high, public interest high, and then the tarmac meeting, and that is February 6th. And then February 6th, Lynch offered a Supreme Court position if Hillary got through. So Q was asking this back in February 6th. At the same time, he said tarmac meeting. And Lynch offered a Supreme Court position if Hillary got through. Well, now we know that yes, she was. And here we've got another Q post, but they've clipped off the timestamp, which is not a good thing. And coincidence, POTUS tweet, tarmac, coming soon to a theater near you. And here on February 6th, we've got build timeline, Antonin Scalia, 187, murdered. Hillary Rodham Clinton investigates pivot points. JC dismiss letter, that's James Comey. Number 2, PS, WL Communications, WikiLeaks Communications. So, and then underneath here, they have put Antonin Gregory Scalia and information about who he was and his death. Of course, everyone thinks that it was a heart attack, even though he had a hole in his chest, apparently, because apparently his heart just jumped right out. And an Anon posted this, and I had to show you guys because I think it's brilliantly done. Very well done. Tarmac, based on a true story. Impossible to defend. QAnon 35218. We have it all. QAnon 35218. No deals. QAnon 35. Boom. QAnon 35218. Toxic to those connected. QAnon 35218. They never thought she would lose. And then they've got these down here. Not yet rated. Spring 2018. Release the video. So I think that this is very well done, like a movie poster, and whoever is responsible for this, kudos. Very well done. Now, Q here is referring to this Anon post where And this Anon says, interesting how he don't bother with a question mark at the end of the Supreme Court question. It was a statement. This should be doesn't, because this is like nails on a chalkboard to me. To an English major, ooh, nails on a chalkboard, man. Okay, so what he's talking about, let's go back down here so I can show you what he's talking about. See here? In POTUS tweet, he says, was she promised a Supreme Court seat or Attorney General in order to lay off Hillary? There should be a question mark there. Now, personally, I don't think that was done on purpose, even though Q is going to claim that it was. I don't, but hey, I could be wrong. He could be asking a question, but he wants it to be a statement. I've been wrong before, you know, as you who have corrected me know. And by the way, I don't mind being corrected at all. So never think that I'm upset about someone correcting me or giving me alternate information. Doesn't bother me at all. In fact, I like it because I want the truth. I don't want to, believe things that aren't so. All right. So this Anon says, interesting how we don't bother with a question mark at the end of the Supreme Court question. It was a statement. Yes, it was. Has POTUS made a statement found not to be true? Nothing stated should be discounted. Moving fast. Q. So he really doesn't answer the question. He just says, has POTUS made a statement found not to be true? That's what you should be focused on, not whether there's a question mark on the end of it. And I agree. And he said, nothing stated should be discounted. But again, and he said, moving fast. Q. So really, who cares? I mean, he forgot a question mark, and it's really not what we should be focused on anyway, because we know what he meant. Now, then next we have these two interesting posts, and they stumped me for a little while, I'll admit. So, excuse me. It's this gray day. It's making me yawn. It's forcing me to yawn. It's got a gun to my head saying yawn. All right, let's go out to this picture. It was too big to embed. And here we go. Here it is. And Q says, the where. Q. Now, why isn't this getting bigger like it's supposed to? There we go. Yay. Now, Q says this is the where. And because I have the advantage of later posts, I know that we're supposed to be focused right here, which is pretty hard to do in this picture because it's blurry. So let's go back. He says that is the where, Q. Then he gives a link and he says, well, he doesn't give a link. He actually embedded the picture, but I didn't because it's too big. The why, Q. So let's go look at this. This is the why. Let's make this bigger. And of course, when I looked at this, I had no idea. I figured it was somewhere in Asia, just because of the style of the sculpture, but I didn't know. And so let's go back. Let's find out where this is. Well, it turns out that the where is the, hopefully I'm pronouncing this right, Shenzhen Stock Exchange. And that's in China. And it's this building. Hang on one second. Sorry, I heard my my phone buzzing, and I had to be sure that it wasn't an emergency because I do have elderly parents. Okay, but it's not them, so. All right, here is the building, a close-up of the building, the Shenzhen Stock Exchange, and it's interesting because it seems to be shaped like an upside down cross to me. It's an interesting design, very interesting design. But let's go on because we've got a little bit more on this. Somebody else has found pictures, and we're going to go out and take a look at that. Okay, and this shows the upside down cross. This wasn't really what I was wanting to reference. There's supposed to be, well, dang, there was a bigger, here we are, it's down here. I'm glad I took that minute to just kind of look around a bit. So this is the an up close look at the statue, okay? And we've got two dragons here. I'll try to make it a little bit bigger. Hang on. Now where did it go here? Nope. Hang on. I drive myself crazy. Okay. Now, I know this is blurry and I can't do anything about that, but there's two dragons rising up here. This, I don't know what it is, but it looks like something is holding a ball. This is a phoenix right here. And the phoenix, I think this is fire. This sculptor, actually, I looked him up. Extremely talented sculptor, like really. He's got some amazing work. But it's interesting because this contains symbolism, and we're going to see in a minute because this person also found an explanation of the statue. So, oh, I see what this is. It's a bowl because I just saw the ring here. There's two openings for the nose. So this is a bull, and this is the horns, and perhaps this is the world. I'm not sure. I can't tell from this. But okay, there's a bull. There's two dragons rising up. Here's the phoenix and the fire. Phoenix rising from the fire. And the dragons are holding this vortex up in the sky. And out of this vortex, or portal, or opening, it looks like a vortex. It looks like an opening, a portal. And out of that, the phoenix is arising. So, important symbolism here. Now, someone told me, or maybe I read on here, nobody told me, I think I read it on here, that this is also a phoenix. But again, I can't tell. And perhaps the phoenix has the world in its claws. But again, don't take it as the gospel truth because it's very blurry. Very blurry. And I looked all over for this, a close-up of this sculpture, and I couldn't find it. Now, if any of you do, you guys can leave the link to where we could see it, because I looked and I got frustrated with looking. So let's take a look at this, because it's going to tell us what this is. Well, we know it's a sculpture, but yeah. We're smart enough to know that. Figure it out. Okay, and here is the explanation. These sculptures were created by Mr. Han Mylin, or Mylin. Now, I did look him up to see if I could get a close-up of his sculpture. He's got several sculptures there in that stock exchange park, sort of, and all like really, they're all incredible. But anyway, these sculptures were created by Mr. Han Mylin, consisting of the main and auxiliary works. The sculptures are positioned across the central axis south of Shenzhen Stock Exchange Plaza. The main sculpture is seated on a foundation in the form of an ox head, which I pointed out, symbolizing exploration, industry, and persistence. Featuring a pair of dragons leaping into the sky, the main sculpture presents a solemn and powerful dragon gate. The phoenixes, okay, that's where I read it. So there's two phoenixes. One's definitely at the top, and the one must be where I pointed it out. The phoenixes, with wings fully expanded, embody the spirit of constant self-renewal in nirvana. The scene of all three mythical creatures holding the symbol of Taiji in the center gives expression to syncretism in harmony of the heavens, elements, and human existence. The auxiliary sculpture consists of 3 bronze oxen and several bears in diverse postures. One ox stands tall with its head uplifted, ready for a forceful charge. The second ox, with its hooves placed firmly planted in the ground, calmly lets energy accumulate in its body. The third ox, lifting the hooves and poised for a vigorous move, is surrounded by an aura of invincibility. Several bears run about the 3 oxen. Some are submissive, while others frolic joyfully in amusing naivety, lightening up the whole sculptural scene with great delight and interest. So, that is that for what that means and what Q is pointing out to us. He's pointing out the where and the why. Now, we still don't fully understand what that is, having, decoded where the building is and what it's in reference to, but we know more than we did before. Now, this is the next Q post, April 15th, and Q says, 4 clowns here, and he's meaning here as in on the board, on the 8chan board. There's 4 clowns in here, and he's saying unidentified IDs. And where are these clowns from? Armenia. So there's 4 clowns in here because there's unidentified IDs, and they're from Armenia. Then he says, Google QAnon search stats by country. Armenia is number 1. Q. So of all the search stats, the number 1, like the term for the term QAnon, Armenia has the most number of searches for the word QAnon. Now, that's interesting, don't you think? I don't know why that would be. Maybe you guys can surmise. I can't, but I will admit that my brain's a little fuzzy today. Fuzzy brains are the worst, seriously. It's worse than fuzzy math. Anyway, so I don't know. I can't imagine why Armenia would be searching for QAnon, but they are. So let's go up to the next one, and this is a Q post, and Q is referring to this this graphic. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure this out. I guess Q embedded this in his post. So, and future proves past, and then underneath he says Supreme Court, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, I can never say his name because I want to call him Antonin Scalia, 187, Clown Black Brennan, Q. Now, below I've decoded that. Supreme Court, of course, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So Loretta Lynch was supposed to take Ruth Bader Ginsburg's position. Antonin Scalia was killed by the black hat James O. Brennan. That's how I read that. Antonin Scalia, 187, we know that's murder. And then / clown, black, Brennan. Isn't that how you would interpret that? I don't know how else we can interpret that. Antonin Scalia killed by black hat James O. Brennan, former CIA director. That's who killed him. I think that's what Q is saying. I can't see any other, because if he was wanting to tell us something about Brennan, he wouldn't put this in front of it because he would know that we would automatically associate the two, right? So that's my story and I'm sticking to it. Now, here, and I think he's referring to this below. Yes, he's referring to his post that he just did, and Q says, we made sure a reporter was there to capture. So, and then he said, these people are stupid, Q. Now, what he's saying is the tarmac meeting, there is a reporter that states he received a, quote, tip about the meeting. Well, that tip was from them, their team. And let's go out and I can prove that. Well, I can't prove it, but you know what I mean. How a local AZ reporter broke the bombshell Clinton Lynch story. And this just goes through, excuse me, the meeting between Attorney General Loretta Lynch and former President Bill Clinton might not have been known if not for a local reporter who received a tip about it. Christopher Sine, morning anchor at ABC 15 in Phoenix, joined Bill O'Reilly to go over his bombshell report. Sine explained that he received a tip from a trusted source about the meeting and then met with management at the station. Naturally, my jaw dropped, he recalled. So, that is how the meeting, the tarmac meeting was leaked. Interesting. And then Q gives us this. I am not going to read this because I would be here all day, but I will leave the link to this in the description. And I won't forget this time. I will leave it because it's long. And it is testimony regarding Ruth Bader Ginsburg by Susan Hirschman, Executive Director, Eagle Forum, to the Senate Judiciary Committee, July 23rd, 1993. And it goes over some points. It talks about her being a radical feminist, and that, you know, it goes over points such as that she wanted the age for consent lowered to 12 years old, sexual consent, and it goes through a lot of stuff. There's a lot here. So, like, here are some of the extremist feminine concepts from Ginsburg's book, Sex Bias in the U.S. Code. Women must be drafted when men are drafted. Women must be assigned to military combat duty. Well, I believe that that women should be, if they want to be, assigned, but I don't think it should be mandatory. Not all women could. I couldn't do that. I mean, even if I was able to physically, I wouldn't be able to psychologically. Anyway, affirmative action must be applied for women in the armed services. Well, I agree with that. The age of consent, now I don't agree with this. The age of consent for sexual acts must be lowered to 12 years old. Bigamists must have special privileges that other felons don't have. Whatever. So this is long. Like, it's long. It's too long for me to read to you. So if you are curious about what she believes, then the link will be there for you. But that's not juicy reading as far as I'm concerned. All right. But Q wants to make us aware of it. Q obviously wants to make us aware of what she believes. So, and here we are here. What is this referring to? Oh, it's in reference to, okay, yeah. All right, now let's go on to the next one, and it's this, and this is from today. And Q says, reread Five Eyes. Avoid U.S. data collection laws. Hussein, public. Dossier, FISA, not public. Five Eyes, UK/Australia. POTUS targeting using pushed Russian decoy meetings / campaign insertions. Hussein, Hillary Rodham Clinton, Loretta Lynch, Brennan, Clapper, National Security, White House, sitting room. I think that's what that means, sitting room. White House sitting room. OP, UK, Australia, assist, set up, Q. Now, let's go look at what Five Eyes is. We've covered this before, but I don't know. There may be people listening that either haven't heard previous videos or have forgotten. So I just went to good old WikiLeaks here, or Wikipedia, not WikiLeaks. All right, the Five Eyes, often abbreviated as FVEY, is an intelligence alliance comprising Australia, Canada, New Zealand, the United Kingdom, and the United States. These countries are parties to the multilateral UK-USA agreement, a treaty for joint cooperation in signals intelligence. Now, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that Canada has now dropped out of this. I can find that out for sure, but I'm almost 100% sure they have, because I remember reading that. The origins of the FVEY can be traced back to post-World War II period, when the Atlantic Charter was issued by the Allies to lay out their goals for a post-war world. During the course of the Cold War, the Echelon surveillance system was initially developed by Five Eyes to monitor the communications of the former Soviet Union and the Eastern Bloc, although it is now used to monitor billions of private communications worldwide. In the late 1990s, the existence of Echelon was disclosed to the public, triggering a major debate in the European Parliament and, to a lesser extent, the United States Congress. As part of efforts in the ongoing war on terror, since 2001, the Five Eyes further expanded their surveillance capabilities, with much emphasis placed on monitoring the World Wide Web. The former NSA contractor Edward Snowden described the Five Eyes as a supranational intelligence organization that doesn't answer to the known laws of its own countries. Documents leaked by Snowden in 2013 revealed that Five Eyes had been spying on one another's citizens and sharing the collected information with each other in order to circumvent restrictive domestic regulations on surveillance of citizens. In spite of continued controversy over its methods, the Five Eyes relationships remained one of the most comprehensive known espionage alliances in history. So that's what it is, and these are the countries: Australia, Canada, New Zealand, United Kingdom, United States, and if I'm not mistaken, Canada has flown the coop because of something, and I can't remember what it was now, but let's see. I don't know. I'm not going to get into that. Okay, so let's go back. So he says reread Five Eyes. Now, he had mentioned Five Eyes before, and I did go out and find that and stuck it here. This is where he mentioned it before. Five Eyes is very important. It won't be around much longer. Relevant here, but not the focus. That's the last time that he mentioned it. Okay, and he's mentioning it again, and he wants us to familiarize ourselves with it, which we just did. And it says that, and he says, avoid U.S. data collection laws. Yeah, that's the purpose of using that, because there are laws in the U.S. and this circumvents them. And then he said, Hussein. Now, I'm not exactly sure what he's saying, if Hussein used this, or I don't know. Of course he did. And then he says, public, dossier, FISA, not public. Five Eyes. Okay, I get what he's saying now. Hussein is the one that, was responsible for collecting all this information. Ultimately, it was under Hussein and this has been made public about the dossier, about the FISA, the Steele dossier, and about the FISA warrants that were not warranted, and so forth. That's all been made public, but there's still stuff to come out that's not public yet. And that is probably the data collected via Five Eyes, UK, Australian POTUS, UK/Australia regarding the POTUS targeting. So this has not been made public yet. The Five Eyes, and this is from the UK and Australia. They gathered, in regards to targeting POTUS using pushed Russian decoy meetings / campaign insertions. Oh, okay. Something just clicked with me, because what Q is saying is this is not public yet, but it's going to come out. They've got the information that Hussein collected, this information that they were going to target POTUS using a pushed Russian decoy meetings, campaign insertions. Oh, wow. That's going to be like, that just, yeah. I don't know why I didn't see that before, but sometimes in reading through it, like, again, I see these things, and this is phenomenal. That's exactly what he's saying, that they've got this, but it's not public yet. And Hussein used this stuff from Five Eyes, and about targeting the POTUS using the pushed Russian decoy. Meetings, campaign insertions. All right, I'll move on. That was like a revelation to me, like an epiphany, like, woo. All right, Hussein, Hillary Rodham Clinton, Loretta Lynch, Brennan Clapper. So these are all the people that assisted in the setup, because he's saying assisted setup. Hussein, Hillary Rodham Clinton, Loretta Lynch, Brennan, Clapper, National Security, White House sitting room. Now, do you remember when he said that they took out all the bugs and everything? They had to redo all the, the vents and everything because it was all bugged, and it was left over from, Obama administration, and they had done that to ensure that they would have the upper hand, and they brought in all these contractors, and they used people that had not been used in the past. In fact, President Trump used one company was a Native American woman that owned her own company, and he used smaller businesses. And so I think that's what he's talking about right here, the White House sitting room. It was bugged, and it was removed, but they probably did get some intelligence through that, I would think. And then he says, OP, UK, operators in the UK and Australia assisted in the setup. So all of this assisted, okay? And operators in the UK and Australia assisted setup. Q. So, that's interesting. Very interesting. All right. Now, the next one is this. And I'm not going to even get into this because Q says below that it's a distraction. So this Anon posts this picture of search terms, and he says, he's arguing with another Anon. He says, very well, so search for anything before October 2017 if you want to split hairs. The data shows that the keyword didn't start trending until November. So this person is arguing with another Anon, and Q makes reference to this and says, distraction. They are here in force, Q. And I would think after what he just posted below there that they would be there in force, because this is pretty groundbreaking, earth-shattering stuff. All right. Now, that's it for the post from today. Now, but as I said, there are 3 additional posts, and there may be even more by now. So I've got some errands to run, and I am going to come back and do another video, but I'll upload this, what I have so far, and I will research those, the rest of the drop, and I'll bring that to you tonight. So hope you're having a wonderful day. It's 3:32 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's gray and raining here, and I hope it's nicer where you are. So stay safe, and I will talk to you guys later. Make sure that if you want to be subscribed, that you're still subscribed. And see you guys later.